Chain smoke your problems away. Smokepit Fairy Tales Part 4, Chapter 29, Paris. Thatch laid with his pillow over his head, unwilling to move out of bed. His body ached, and his mind wouldn't stop spinning the world around him. If only he didn't move, the pounding in his head and the squeeze in his gut couldn't get worse. His door slammed closed, sending an agonizing shockwave through his body. Thatch groaned, internally swearing to take the life of whoever was so bold to enter. He reared his head from under the pillow to find Stockton walking towards him with a 12-pack. Her bruises were hardly noticeable. Her shoulder-length orange hair dangled wet towards the floor. She was wearing her tight running shorts and a black t-shirt that illegibly bore the name of a black metal band Thatch didn't recognize. Thatch forced himself to sit halfway up in bed.
Oh, what's up?
Stockton shook her head.
Nothing. Doing laundry. For some fucking reason, I left all my shit here in the hamper before we left.
She pulled a beer out of the box and handed it to Thatch. Thatch popped the tab.
Hair of the dog.
Yep, you'll feel a lot better when you're done with that.
Thatch downed half the can with his first swig. The pressure in his body evened out after a few seconds.
It's like a miracle drug.
Hell yeah, buddy.
Stockton sat herself down on Thatch's bed and sipped her beer. Thatch finished his drink quickly and laid back down.
So what's up?
Nothing. I just wanted to watch some TV and chill out.
She downed the rest of the can and took the beer to the fridge. Thatch stared at the shorts hiking their way up her butt cheeks as she walked.
Why don't you just get your own TV? They're not expensive.
I'm down here most of the time anyway. It'd be a waste of money.
Stockton stocked the box in the fridge and walked back toward Thatch. He stared at her well-toned thighs and the tight creases creeping up her groin. He noticed her breasts bouncing freely inside her shirt. It did nothing for him, besides bring back a longing for Samum. She sat back on Thatch's bed with her back to the wall. She pushed his feet away.
Shoo.
It's my bed, asshole!
Yeah, whatever. Hand me the remote.
Thatch soon fell back into slumber with the soft sounds of the TV lulling him off. When he awoke, Stockton was gone. The tube was switched off and he had successfully slept off his hangover. He pulled himself out of bed, poured himself a glass of water, and sat down on his chair. A tapping came from his door. Thatch couldn't immediately think of who would bother him on an off day without just walking straight in. Thinking it might be one of his junior Marines, he said,
Come in!
Whoever it was knocked again.
Come in!
The hinge turned and the door opened. Samum stood in the doorway. She was in spandex pants and a yellow gym shirt. Her hair was a mess. She was pouring sweat, and it looked like she'd been crying. But Thatch noticed her mascara was applied flawlessly. Samum looked at Thatch with the sad, longing eyes of a baby golden retriever. His heart stopped. Pins and needles poked every inch of his skin. His lungs stopped working. The ants of anxiety, fear, and dread splashed over his body in a wave.
Why are you here? Have you come to torment me?
Thatch couldn't make his mouth work and had to force himself to breathe.
Are you sure?
Thatch coerced himself to say.
What?
To come in.
Thatch nodded. Samum hurried over to him and stood with her knees touching his. She looked down at him, hiding tears behind her eyes. He looked back up at her, not knowing how to feel. He was anxious and scared of where the situation was going. He saw Samum's bottom lip quiver. She grabbed the back of his head and brought it to her lips. Their mouths dragged across each other's. Their tongues pressed in and battled. Samum sat on Thatch's lap, wrapping her legs around his body, squeezing him into the chair. Thatch grabbed her back and pulled her in tight. She smelled like sweat and perfume. It lit a fire in Thatch's belly. He noticed, as he was rubbing her, that she had put on a few more pounds, but he really had no problem with that. Samum pulled her head away from Thatch, squeezed his face into her chest, and stroked his hair.
I missed you so much.
Thatch nodded from between her breasts.
Me too.
He didn't think of anything she had done to anger or slight him, or the nights he'd spent up wondering what he meant to her, or the heartache she'd caused him. He simply embraced the moment.
I've been looking around for you. I know you were gone, but you didn't even post anything online. I think about you every night before I go to sleep.
She squeezed his head harder into her chest.
I missed you so damn much. And I saw you were in legal trouble for a while, but I couldn't access the files to see what it was, so I worried. But then that went away, and I heard about your battalion and the Russians. I'm just so glad you're okay.
They silently held one another until their limbs were too tired to take it anymore. Samum pulled back with a wide grin.
Did you hear? I ruined Gemery's life?
Thatch's mind stunted.
No.
Samum patted Thatch's shoulders and giggled.
So, I go to St. Cupertino with him to get away from base for a weekend.
Oh, yeah, you really must have missed me.
Thatch thought sarcastically as he started to realize Samum's act was a charade. His shoulders slumped and his heart hurt again.
And we go out dancing and have a good night.
So you didn't mean any of what you said when you came in here?
Then we get back to the hotel and we're laughing, having fun, and then I tell him that I'm not interested in him.
You were interested enough with him to go out of town and get a hotel room with him?
Then he starts crying. Oh my god. Can you believe that?
Samum laughed without a trace of tears in her eyes anymore.
Why are you telling me this?
He starts talking about how he's not going to be able to eat, sleep, or go to the gym.
Thatch started to wonder what exactly it was that he ever saw in her and stared at her stone-faced.
I have to go to bed and listen to him cry himself to sleep. Then we get up the next day and we go to this restaurant that had really good cheesecake, by the way. And he doesn't eat any of his food.
Samum playfully pushed Thatch's shoulder. Her face lit with joy, and her grin touched both of her ears.
Then he gets up and goes to the bathroom to puke. How funny is that?
Thatch raised his eyebrows and bit his bottom lip. Unsure of what to say about Samum's story, he nodded and calmly said,
Sounds like it was a good time.
He tried to remember why he missed her, and if she was serious about her actions toward him that night, why he would want her to stay.
It was.
Thatch never gave a shit about Gemery, but he was insulted by Samum's relationship with him. Thatch thought he should feel happy that Samum treated Gemery like a piece of garbage. It registered to Thatch that he was getting played. He didn't know how far he was willing to deal with it, or why. He hoped that maybe Samum would change, that she would grow up, and that she'd commit herself to him. He loved her for whatever reason, and decided to look past all of the bullshit, because it was in the past. A part of him wanted to push her away and tell her never to speak to him again, but he knew if he did that, then his heart would hurt more, knowing he ended it than anything Samum could do to it. Samum pulled Thatch in tight again.
Oh, I have to get going. Work's calling me in early tomorrow.
All right.
They kissed goodnight, and Samum left Thatch alone in his room. The next morning, Thatch woke up to a text from Samum reading,
Good morning. Thinking of you.
He sent her back a smiley face and,
Good morning, beautiful.
He grabbed a quick breakfast sandwich from the PX, hit the gym, and chilled out in his room sketching. Samum and him intermittently exchanged cute, bubbly text messages. Mackenzie, Chuck, and Stockton rotated in and out of Thatch's room to go smoke, and Thatch uncorked the bottle of wine he bought that morning. A little after dusk, Samum texted Thatch to come over when he was free for the night. Thatch put his pen in his pocket, grabbed a sketchbook and wine, and headed over to Samum's room. He pushed the door open to see her and Ramsey laughing over a half-eaten pizza, knee to knee in her chairs. Thatch wondered why she would invite him over while that douchebag was there. Then he wondered why she was spending time with that MP piece of shit at all. But he decided to play it cool.
What's up?
Thatch noticed that Samum had finally framed the painting he gave her.
Not much.
Samum smiled at him. Ramsey looked at Thatch, then back at Samum.
Thanks for the pizza. Oh, I've got to go.
Samum smiled at him and waved goodbye. Thatch tossed his sketchbook on Samum's bed and sat down in the chair Ramsey had been sitting in while he took a swig of wine.
Good evening.
Samum grinned, leaning in, and grabbed his hands.
I hope you don't mind me having other guys in here. It's not like I'm fucking them or anything.
Why the fuck would you tell me that, and why would you say it like that?
Thatch played it off like he didn't have a problem with anything she was doing.
Nah, babe, it's alright.
He took another sip of the wine.
So what's been up?
Oh, you know, same old stuff. I'm actually leaving tomorrow. I'm going on a cruise.
Really? Where to?
Samum took Thatch's wine and downed a swig.
I'm taking my mom to Xanthi Beach. We'll be on the ship for a week.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Samum handed him the wine back.
Yeah. But tonight, I have to work.
What do you mean?
I just have a report that I have to finish and send up before I go on leave in the morning.
Thatch leaned back in his chair.
Lame.
It is. But you can hang if you want to. You just have to promise to let me work.
Alright.
Thatch wondered why she invited him over if she was going to be busy, but accepted that maybe she just wanted him to be around. Samum sat at her secretary and started up her computer. When her program fired up, she turned around to Thatch and smiled.
Hey.
Yes, ma'am?
Samum grabbed Thatch's chin and pulled him in for a kiss. Thatch kicked off his shoes and hopped on Samum's bed. He pulled out his pen, opened his sketchbook, and started sketching Samum as she sat and worked. It seemed to be the best use of his time. She got to finish her assignment, he got to draw, and they got some amount of time spent with each other. He sketched her outline first, then started to ink in lines and details while he finished the wine. He inked her, furiously typing away with her headphones in while listening to a song that was almost 100 years old, about going to prison for shooting a man in Reno. Thatch didn't even know where or what Reno was. Thatch didn't notice falling asleep. He certainly didn't do it on purpose. He was anticipating lying in bed with Samum in his arms that night. When he woke, the lights were off and he didn't recognize where he was. He looked to the only source of light, the window. The wine bottle's silhouette reminded him of the Eiffel Tower. In his half-dream trance, he wondered how he got to Paris. Upon realizing Paris didn't exist anymore, he shook his mind and remembered he was in Samum's room. She was lying on the other bed. Thatch lamented not being able to hold her that night and falling asleep while she worked. He tore out a blank page from his sketchbook and wrote,
I'm sorry I hogged your bed. Have fun on your cruise.
He left the page on Samum's pillow, kissed her forehead, and went back to his room. He emptied his pockets before he took off his clothes. Inside his jacket's breast pocket, he found a folded-up sheet of paper. He opened it and read,
I think of you often. I hope you know that I value you. You are important to me, even if one of us is far away, deployed, dead, or missing. You have a place in my heart. P.S. You're fantastic. I have your back. Samum.
Thatch smiled and put the letter in his wallet. The week went by at a normal pace. During the days, Thatch, Stockton, Chuck, and Mackenzie would drink their afternoons away while watching television or playing cards until the time came to return to work. They spent the first few days listening to counselors and their senior staff tell them not to drink and drive, do drugs, beat their spouses, or go rogue. They were to spend the rest of the next couple weeks waiting for gear and equipment to be unloaded from the bottom of Shard before they were released for post-deployment leave. The second Monday they were back, the battalion formed up on the parade deck for a memorial ceremony and an awards and promotion formation. Thatch stood at the front of his squad in his red camouflage uniform. Akan stood behind him. Lieutenant Colonel Santorino stood at a podium in front of the formation with a somber look on his face. Sergeant Major Powell stood to his side. The brisk day's sky was painted pink and gray. Cold air blew through people's clothes, but the snowing was over for the season. Thatch looked into the bleachers behind the commander. It was packed with the families of the Marines in the battalion. Thatch scanned over the crowd, looking at the people, watching. Some were in formal wear, some in jeans and sweaters. Others wore clothing for mourning that Thatch figured were the families of the fallen. Guests in uniforms sat in the front couple of rows. The Marines who had lost limbs sat in their uniforms behind the colonel. Thatch looked over their faces one by one until he saw Glaedwine and General Paraska.
Holy shit, Ma showed up.
Thatch tried not to smile. He wondered why she came. He was overjoyed that she showed up, but didn't know why a single battalion's memorial ceremony would be worth the time of the Commandant and the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. Lieutenant Colonel Santorino leaned into the microphone.
Good morning, Marines.
He addressed the battalion.
I hope you enjoyed your weekend. We have a little bit of work left to do before we all go on leave. We had a bit of a rough deployment, but we made it through. Some of our brothers and sisters didn't make it home. Today, we honor their sacrifice.
Santorino took the microphone off its stand and walked to a row of battle crosses lined up behind the bleachers and the formation.
It's never easy when we lose Marines, but we're not like the Army. Everyone here is a volunteer. We all came here of our own accord. We wanted to be part of this brotherhood fighting for our country, for a new home world, and the right to live on a planet with fresh air and open skies, instead of being locked away in a colony floating around the sun to keep our families safe, happy, free.
Now what a crock of shit. He didn't even know who those Marines were. He never left the ship to fight.
Thatch thought.
I'd better not hear anything from him about leading from the front.
Thatch was disgusted with what the commander was saying. He knew what he was saying was true to some people, but he didn't appreciate it coming from a so-called leader who ran his unit from behind a desk. Santorino walked behind the battlecrosses, formed of a pair of boots, a helmet, and a rifle. He put his hand on the helmet and continued.
We lost some damn good Marines out there.
Oh, like you would know.
Thatch couldn't move because he was at attention in formation, but if he could have, he would have spit.
Lance Corporal Frederick Stewart.
He moved to the next battlecross and put his hand on it.
Corporal Jeremiah Schechter.
Santorino moved to the third.
Private First Class Hanover Giddle.
He moved down the line, repeating the same little ritual until he'd said the names of all the fallen Marines. He moved back to the podium and handed the microphone to the chaplain, who offered a short prayer. Then, Lieutenant Colonel Santorino stood at attention in front of the formation. Sergeant Major Powell then took the podium. He didn't greet anyone or introduce anything. He leaned into the microphone.
Sergeants Allensworth and O'Con, report to the battalion commander.
What?
Thatch had no idea what was happening. He fell out of the formation with a con, and they marched around the formation to stand in front of Santorino. They saluted him and said,
Good morning,
Good morning,
sir.
sir.
Santorino returned the salute. General Paraska walked up and stood beside the commander, holding a couple of red folders in his hand. Glaedwine took the podium from Powell. She unfolded a sheet of paper and spoke into the microphone.
To all who shall see these presents, greeting. This is to certify that the President of the United States of America, authorized by Congress, has awarded the Navy Cross.
No fucking way.
Thatch was flabbergasted. Both him and Akan were at a complete loss for words. Fortunately for them, they were at attention and didn't have to say or do anything but stand still.
To Sergeants Edward Thatch Allensworth and Christina Alexandra O'Con for extraordinary heroism while engaged in military operations while serving abroad, the USS Bonhomme Richard.
Glaedwine read the rest of the citation, which outlined in broad terms Thatch and Akan's actions to jettison the fuel from the Russian ship, stopping it from exploding, and saving the lives of the Marines on board. When she was finished, General Paraska pinned the crosses on Thatch and Akan's chests, shook their hands, and then told them to post beside the Sergeant Major. Glaedwine then called up Chuck, Mackenzie, Capulet, Lighthouse, and Christchurch. They were awarded Bronze Stars for getting the rest of the platoon off the ship before they thought it was going to blow, while staying behind so there was room for the wounded and junior Marines to leave. Captain Rodzer was awarded a Silver Star for simply being in command when everything went down. They were posted next to Thatch and Akan. Glaedwine called up the Marines who were wounded, and the general pinned Purple Hearts to their chests. The ceremony concluded, and the battalion was dismissed. When Glaedwine approached the group of sailors and Marines who had medals pinned to their chests, she was greeted with a choir of,
Good morning,
Sergeant
Sergeant
Major.
Glaedwine gave them a mousy smile and shook all their hands.
The Commandant and I would like to extend you gratitude on behalf of the United States.
Glaedwine looked up at the group. Besides Stockton, they were all taller than she was.
We're very proud to have Marines like you in the Corps.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Sergeant.
Sergeant Major.
Glaedwine pointed a finger at Thatch, and with a harsh tone and a slow voice ordered.
Don't you ever fucking do anything like that again.
The blood in Thatch's face forced its way up through his emerald skin. It didn't matter how old he got, he always felt ashamed when his ma scolded him.
Yes, ma'am.
Glaedwine looked at the other Marines in the group.
You all take off for the rest of the day. If anyone has a problem with that, tell them to talk to me. Captain, they're with you.
Rodzer smirked and nodded.
Hey, Sergeant Major.
Glaedwine motioned her head towards the parking lot.
Thatch, let's go to lunch.
As Glaedwine and Thatch walked away, Rodzer asked the other Marines.
What's that about?
She's his mum.
Akan answered him. Rodzer was shocked.
What? How the hell didn't I know about that?
He doesn't like to tell people.
Huh.
Rodzer thought about how Thatch's relationship with Glaedwine would have changed if he were court-martialed instead of given an award.
Well, all right, gents. I'll see you tomorrow.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening to another chapter episode. The book's doing the book. God damn it, Thatch. Thank you everyone who's gotten the war chest, and YouTube channel members, and people who follow on Patreon. If you follow on Patreon, you know, you get these chapters as I get done with them, and we're like in the middle of book 5 already over there. And if you're a YouTube member, you get these as I upload them. And both those people and, you know, people who get war chests, you know, I put your names in the credits at the end, you know, with the bloopers, which you're about to get. All right, hey, thank you everybody for listening. Tuning in, listening. All right, hey, you have a good rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you around.
What is today but yesterday's tomorrow? I wonder if I can get this chapter title reading correct. Howie, damn it!
Test. Where are we at? How we doing? Is this where we are and this is how we're doing? Okay. All right.
Thatch laid with his pillow over his head, unwilling to move out of his bed. Nope, not his bed. I added a syllable and made it like rhythmic. Thatch laid with the pillow over his head, unwilling to move out of his bed.
Come on! Come on in!
She was wearing her tight running shorts and a black t-shirt that illegally bore the name of a black metal band Thatch didn't recognize. Illegibly. Illegally. I'm like, wow, man, Mars laws are tough. Marine laws are tough these days. You can't demonstrate black metal bands. We left that shit back on Earth. That's where we all went wrong.
Right. So, this is... I went kind of British there for a second. Pip, pip, cheerio. Okay. Anyway, it's getting late. So this is Hollis reading for Samum, chapter 29, Paris.
We should have stuck to glam metal and hair metal. Everything went wrong after Guns N' Roses.
And here we go.
Everything. Even Guns N' Roses.
Yep. Okay, all right. All right, this is the last one I'm doing tonight because I am a sleepy little bitch. All right. So this is Hollis reading for Samum, take 2 of chapter 29, Paris.
She was wearing her tight running shorts and a black t-shirt that allegedly yeah. Now the black metal band logo is encrypted.
Oh my god, I got a long diatribe here. Chapter 29, Paris. Actually, it's not that long.
You can only read it with a cipher found at the bottom of a cereal box. She had an NF t-shirt on. NF t-shirt, just combine the words. She's wearing an NF t-shirt. It's the blockchain.
Good morning, sir. Oh, not that last one.
She was wearing her tight running shorts and a black t-shirt that illegibly, good God, illegibly, it's illegible. Do you say illegible?
Hello, I'm a sergeant major. I haven't gotten late since 1984.
She was wearing her tight running shorts and a black t-shirt that illegibly bore the... Oh, now I got through it. Now I can't read anything after it. Yeah.
Fuck. She's his mum. Yeah. She's his mum.
I was about to say, he's checking her out an awful lot. I was thinking about Samum. God damn it.
The craziest bitch in Bitchland. That was the other implied subtext of the rest of the note. I felt it.
What a bitch.
The most dramatic bitch in Bitchtown. All right, that's it. I'm sleepy.
Hollis is my favorite. What a bitch. I try to hold these things in my head while I'm reading them out.
I don't know if you can tell, but I took French in high school. Anyway. Samum knocks on Thatch's door.
She grabbed the back of his head and brought it to her lips. Their mouths dragged across each other's, their tongues pressed in battle.
She's his mum. Oh, fuck.
Tongue battle. You never know when you'll have to use your tongue to battle. On a battlefield. Anything.
Making out. Sorry if that last smooch, ripped your eardrum. All right, Samum.
Crab battle.
Making out. I think you probably have sound effects for that.
Gotta remember the basics of CQC. Close quarters cunnilingus.
She's his mum.
Oh, this chapter's gonna be way longer than it has to be.
But what I just did is pretty awesome. We can agree.
The little puke almost came up with that one. Would have been appropriate.
Did I? Okay. Pausing.
Would have been a yogurt puke. Would have curdled. That's what I think about Samum's character. Curdled yogurt vomit.
Next morning, text.
So I go down to St. Cupertino with him to get away from base for a weekend. Man, the way that she just totally just goes off the subject or whatever. You don't want to talk about what Thatch has been through or you and Thatch. You just want to start talking about Samum shit. And it's always bad shit that Thatch isn't gonna like. If this scene doesn't end with Thatch pushing her off of him and being okay, oh my god. I know I'm gonna be disappointed, but oh my god.
Pulls him in and big kiss. Yum, 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 yum. Okay. I am so sleepy. They go to bed. Samum leaves a note.
Her groin touched both of her ears. That's fucking incredible. That's that fucking meme. I can't believe I'm about to fuck myself in the ass while eating my own pussy. I can't either. I think I'm misquoting it, but it was something I can't believe I'm getting fucked in the ass while eating my own pussy. That's it, yeah. I can't believe I'm getting fucked in the ass while eating my own pussy. It's no, I genuinely have a hard time believing that. I'm right there with you. Meme thing. I have to get going. Work's calling me in early tomorrow. So you came over to hook me back in and talk shit about Gemery? God damn it. I hate Thatch. The only character worse than Samum is fucking Thatch. God damn it, Thatch. You're a piece of shit.
Clickety clack clack, I'm working on my report.
Thatch kinda sucks. Samum, I hope that you don't mind me having other guys in here. It's not like I'm fucking them all or anything. It's not like I'm fucking them all or anything.
Kisses. They go to bed.
Thatch. Well, that'll be fun. I hope it gets blown up. Sorry, I just need these characters to move on.
She's his mum. She's his mum. He doesn't like to tell people. Fuck, mate. I'm going to stop there, mate. Sorry, my voice is all over the shop today.
Alright, fuck.